thank you for waking us all up out here, for all you do.
Thank you for giving us the voice.
For being out there helping to keep the constitutional republic.
I want to thank you for
your support for veterans in the military.
Educating us.
Standing up for conservatism.
Giving us the truth.
Daybreak with Drew Steele.
So what was happening, there were a lot of issues with us retaining just good staff. What was happening, we had, we couldn't pay the big costs for security like some of my colleagues are able to do. Yeah. And so we went with what we could afford. It worked out for a while, but then we started having call-offs, people just not showing up to work, people sleeping on the job. Yeah. And so it was very hard for me to have security when it was unreliable. And so what was happening was Courtney would fill in. He would volunteer. And sometimes he would even when he was there and they were working, he would say, hey, you should be standing over here. Right. Hey, you should be doing that. And so he was volunteering a lot of his time.
Oh, okay. That's defund the police proponent Cori Bush. She's a representative there in Congress. She's under federal investigation for allegedly misusing the money after paying her husband to provide personal security. And her answer to why this was taking place, telling Joy Reid last night on MSNBC was, well, listen, there were a lot of issues because it's hard to keep good people. And everybody kept leaving. And so I turned to my husband and said, hey, you want to do it? Does it? I don't know. Maybe we should ask Congressman Byron Donalds if that's a typical thing that we see there on Capitol Hill, where staff is just like, yeah, forget it, I got to get out of here. And then people turn around and say, hey, you want to take care of my security? I don't know. Congressman Byron Donalds joining us on Daybreak 92.5 Fox News. Hey, first of all, how are you this morning?
Doing all right, Drew. How you doing?
Oh, good. Did you hear that clip?
I just heard it now for the first time. Look, I got to tell you, typically when a member loses staff quickly is because the member's terrible to their staff.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, man, I've seen it. You have members they have staff members who stay around forever. Or, even security. I know there's a couple members who do have security full time. They stay with them forever. But when you have rotations like this, because, you're a battle axe. I mean, you're just terrible to people, and people don't stick around. I mean, to a bigger issue, once again, she got caught. She thought that she could give the money to her husband, which is basically giving the money to herself. That's a major violation. She's living off campaign funds. You can't do it. It's illegal. And the fact that DOJ is investigating it, right. And look, so I'll tell you this, Drew. I was asked about this about 2 days ago, and I didn't know what the dollar amount was, but I heard she was under investigation. I find out it's like $230,000 because she was pulling the money out, giving it to her husband. They're living off the money. This is ridiculous. But this is what happens on the Democrat side of the aisle. Nobody really pays attention to their stuff unless it's so egregious because, nobody holds them accountable. They do what they want. And until somebody reaches in and says, wait, this is like really crazy, then they get held to account and all the excuses started.
Right. Yeah, I guess that's the point is people were like, wow, the DOJ is going after somebody. Well, it must be a Republican because that seems to be oh, wait a minute. Why would they do that? It must be so bad that they can't avoid it. You can't hide this one. And sometimes people have to be held to account. I mean, they always have to be held to account. And hey, listen, speaking of holding people to account, I was having this conversation earlier with Congressman Greg Steele, and we were talking about, the articles of impeachment against Mayorkas. I mean, we're getting more and more examples of how bad things are. I mean, I watched this video, and it's really disturbing, the one over the weekend. Did you see that? The group of illegals attacking the New York City cops there in Times Square? I mean, it's horrible. It's horrible to watch. You can't even believe that it's happening. And yet, another reason to pile one on top of the other of not only how bad things are, but how people need to be held accountable. And that's the bottom line with this. No matter where it goes, you've got to hold them accountable. So maybe your thoughts on Alejandro Mayorkas and these articles of impeachment.
Well, first of all, he lied to Congress. He's perjured himself many times. He has told us in open hearing that the border is secure. We have operational control. But then you look at what's happening through the country. Everybody know that's a lie. That's just talking points. Number two, federal law is clear about what's supposed to happen at the southern border What they did is that they just created new interpretations of parole, of asylum, and have completely opened the spigot. It's insane. Congress never contemplated this. And so I'm thankful for my colleagues on Homeland. They were going through the work diligently to actually see if there was a legal case for impeaching Mayorkas. I believe that there was, but you got to make that point. And they did that in their committee. It's going to come to the floor next week. I believe that members are going to vote to impeach Alejandro Mayorkas because this has been a travesty. And look, the video in New York of the cop being beaten is heinous. Yeah. That's just the tip of the iceberg, Drew. In Boston, the Boston mayor is saying, well, we've given all our emergency shelter. We've bought as many hotel rooms as we can, and there's just nothing else we can do. She's throwing up her hands. In Denver, Colorado, the hospital system is overrun with migrants because, Denver's population is 700,000, give or take. There's 40,000 migrants in Denver. Wow. On top of their population. That's 5% of the population. They're all going to the hospital system. Obviously, they don't have money or insurance, so they're not paying that bill. There's 3,000 kids in the school system in Denver, Colorado, on top of the normal kids, and there's no other teachers. Their school district's overrun. This is happening in every city in America. Right. All these blue city mayors, they're keeping their mouth shut because Joe Biden's president, and they don't want to say anything. But I promise you, and I promise everybody, if there was a Republican president and this was happening, these blue city mayors would be calling for impeachment. They would be saying this man is violating the Constitution. He's not executing the laws. Our cities are overrun, and this is a mess. That's what would be happening. I promise you.
Yeah, and I think part of the big shame in all of this is here we are talking. We've been talking about this for how long now? Well, we've at least
3 years.
That's right.
3 years.
And we keep talking and talking and talking. And every day we talk about this. And look, people need to hear it. And they need to know where everyone stands. Everybody has to be on record showing what they think about H.R. 2, what they think about securing the border first and foremost. Like, why can't you do just that? Why do things have to be attached to every single thing? Why does monies for Ukraine and Israel have to be attached to anything that has to do with border security? Why do you do this when the people are like, look, shut it down? But at the same time, you see all of these things that continue to happen, and all the time that we've been talking about it, and in this time, we still have people crossing the border each and every day. Nothing is stopping. And so I guess to that point is, how it's almost like we just have to wait until things change. We just have to secure this election in order to make sure that it stops.
I'm going to tell you exactly why.
Yeah.
Because you have about 10 United States senators who are Democrats who do not want to do anything to secure this border. All it takes really is 10 senators to say, yeah, enough is enough. That'll take you to 60 senators in the U.S. Senate. The Senate Republicans will vote for H.R. 2. They'd vote for it tomorrow. Chuck Schumer won't bring it up. So New Yorkers need to understand that their senator is part of the reason why their state is overrun and overwhelmed. You have guys like John Tester in Montana. You got people like the astronaut dude in Arizona and Kirsten Sinema in Arizona. You got people like Joe Manchin in West Virginia. These are the people who hold this stuff up. And it's all party politics because this is Joe Biden's policy. Look, I've been very clear with the speaker and with the leadership team in the House. This government shouldn't get a dime until the border is secure. Right. Shut it down. Because, Drew, I've been up here 3 years now. This is going on year 4. These people only understand two things. One, you telling them no, and two, you taking their money. That's the only thing they understand, and it's the only thing they respond to. Everything else is some weak-kneed, ham-handed negotiation. Like the Senate negotiation is a joke. Yeah. And look, Langford, I've met him, got a chance to talk with him, know him. Seems like a nice enough guy. But if this is the deal that comes out, the answer is no, period. And it shouldn't even have gotten as far where now we're waiting for the full language to come out. But, Drew, when they do this mess of, well, wait for the full language, it doesn't get better, Drew.
Right.
It gets worse.
Yeah. Yeah, the idea that you're going to have a certain cap on how many people the cartel can bring across, like it's like this idea of openly telling them, yeah, here's the number that we're going to allow to come across illegally. So for the cartel, there's your number. Of course, there will be more, no matter what. But it's ridiculous. And then the idea that any of these things necessarily that the Democrats are going to be honest brokers with and are going to go through what their part of the deal has to be. The suggestion that would take place. We've seen this time and time again about how they renege on anything that gets signed off on, that somehow, some way, they'll just say, come and get me. They'll just say, try to stop us. And it doesn't. And to your point, the two things you have are no and the power of the purse, both of which have yet to be used, it feels like. That's part of the frustration. Use it. Do it. That's what people say.
I will say,
yeah.
I'll say the reason why we haven't used it is because you've not been at a leverage point to use it. So one of the reasons why, I've been opposed to these continuing resolutions is because the continuing resolution just keeps government spending going. We've now used 3 of them. And so when you keep doing it like that and just saying, oh, we can't have the government shut down, we got to keep funding and keep talking, all you're doing is giving Joe Biden more time. Like the reason why the Senate even had a border deal negotiation is because Joe Biden's poll numbers are so awful on the border that they're trying to save face. If he was doing what he's doing right now and his if his approval numbers were 49%, do you think the Democrat senators will be negotiating on border security? They wouldn't be.
Yeah.
They're only doing it is because they look terrible.
Right.
This is all saving face. So my position's clear. Shut it down. And so, the speaker and other colleagues are like, well, what happens when it's shut down? How do we get something out of it? How do we get the country, the government back open? And I said, it's very clear. If he secures the border, I'll reopen the government. I have no problem with that. As a matter of fact, I'm prepared to keep funding the government as long as he secures the border. But if he won't secure it, then why am I paying you? Drew, the number one job of the federal government is to secure the nation. That's its number one job, not DEI, not equity. It's securing the nation. It is not Green New Deal tax policy. It's securing the nation. That's why the military is the largest part of our government, because it's supposed to secure the country. That's his first job, and the government's not doing it.
All right, Congressman, always appreciate having you on. Excellent choice. Oreos, great snack food. Good choice. Love it. All right, good stuff. I'll see you. All right, we'll see you. Congressman Byron Donalds is joining us on Daybreak 92.5 Fox News. All right, top 5 audio clips of the day. 5 at 8:35 next.
Fox News headlines, plus Wink News traffic and weather. Coming up in less than 3 minutes.
As soon as possible.
On 92.5 Fox News. Right. All along.